Canada is a country. Waves of people came to this country, were welcomed by the folks who lived here for millennia, the First Nation. And built this society with waves of people fleeing religious persecution, fleeing tyranny, fleeing to try and build a better life for themselves here than they had back home. Whether it's folks fleeing from world wars or fleeing from civil wars, these people always want the same thing: to be able to live in peace, to raise their families, create a better future for themselves and their communities. And that is what generations created, this extraordinary diverse society we have. Now, Canada remains one of the only countries in the world where citizens are, by and large, positively kind. And one of the reasons we are that way is because Canadians have confidence in our
Oh yeah, welcome to MK Canada. You know what I mean? Like MK Canada. Yes, you Canada. Yes, you MK. All right. There's some merch that you should see really quickly. I didn't even think about this. I got this new shirt on sale. This is the this is the Maple Warriors of Canada or some Redfall. Redfall is what we're calling this one. So if you're interested in getting yourself some like hyper cool MK Canada merch, you know, stop and smell the maple in the morning kind of stuff with like this nice coffee mug right there.
That's cool, man. Good job.
I'm a fan of the mug. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's important. And of course, the traditional MK Canada t-shirt. So buy yourself some merch.
That's my favorite.
Trying to forecast a catastrophe there, or is that just your average Canadian tsunami coming in?
Yeah,
That's what Niagara. Have you been to Niagara Falls? Did you know that before the Royal Canadian Mounted Police? Yeah, fair. This should
They
have
are
been
coming. They are coming.
Right?
They are coming. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
and
a
you know,
place.
and people don't realize that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, as well as what is it, the Canadian Engineering Corps of Engineers, had to protect Canada by saving Niagara Falls. You know about all this, right?
Yeah, they had to like shut it off. Like they completely stopped the flow for a while or something when they redid it. So the story goes.
So it's pictures of
Hey, here's the crazy part though I have to bring up is supposedly the Niagara Falls was like eroding several feet per like week or month.
It's almost as if this was a brand new phenomenon that had never been there before.
Right?
You guys should have let nature take its course. Canada would have just taken over.
No, I mean there wouldn't be much left of Canada. It's eroding, isn't that the deal? It's on the Canadian side.
We're on the top portion.
The Canadian side would have been all right. It would be the American side that we would erode, and then we'd just be all right about it. And
it would have eroded right to Canada, bro. I mean, look at that.
Kurt knows that they're
agree to disagree, Buck. Agree to disagree.
I don't know. Yeah. You know what they should have done is they should have just dug it out so that the water level just dipped a little bit right there. I don't know. I think a Filipino president
just
tried that.
Bottled some of it and sent it to places that don't
would it have eroded water. Buffalo, or would have it eroded Niagara? I don't know.
It looks like it's going to be
Buffalo's
a question also
eroded already.
I'll bet she is. If this is mainly a problem of beavers, what do you think of that? I know. Now hear me out.
Okay,
all of these paths where the trees are going on, this is where beavers are at, and they're cutting down trees, and all of a sudden it's changing the environment and changing the direction of flow and things like that. And all of a sudden we have Niagara Falls in a place, maybe after some environmental disaster. I know, Bernie, you can maybe comment on some thoughts on Tartaria and what might have been like the original dams and these replaced dams. But I mean, the idea that Niagara Falls is a brand new thing, I mean, Somebody showed up and saw this in the 1800s and said, "Wow, we better keep it like this." That's crazy.
Well, and like supposedly, right? You showed that there was like that Pharaoh's tomb under Niagara Falls. It seems like there was all of this industrial building, like the canals were already there. Some of this hydroelectric infrastructure possibly already there by the time Tesla came there. It's quite confusing the more you look into it.
It's kind of. Have you ever compared Niagara Falls to the Grand Canyon? Like some of the zones, especially seriously, when you look at some of the dried out pictures, and this is a colorized, photo from
like
when
same thing, Buck.
I mean, it's pretty similar in a lot of ways, and you can see how quickly it erodes. I mean, like they were saying, was it 5 feet a year or something insane like that? That's a lot of Canada to just go washing away. I can see why that is why the T-shirt exists. That's what we're trying to say.
Buy the T-shirt, keep Canada alive, guys. Come on.
Yeah, we gotta do our due diligence here to keep Canada, because otherwise it's just gonna like wash away into the Americas, something like that. 1969. This isn't even that long ago. I remember the 1890s they did this, but it turns out in 1969. Also, it used to freeze over, or it does freeze over, right? So they had to build bridges in the 1800s, and then they also did some infrastructure to keep because they noticed it eroding because of the bridges they were doing, walking across the falls. Man, that's
just left a great comment.
What's he say?
How many animals do you know that can chew a tree down? I know your mama can chew a tree down. Strip the chrome off a trailer hitch.
I'm adding in Bert and Ernie so Jordan doesn't get covered by the comments anymore.
Oh, that's sweet. Thanks, Bernie. Hey, you know what? Just shout out really quickly to the Ormus going on here with Bert and Ernie. How's that science experiment going?
So it's starting to produce at the bottom a bunch of this fluffy silver portions, and then that's what I use to then make my colloidal silver water. And yeah, not health advice, but it's kept me from getting sick over the last several years, and several others that I know have done it. So, but don't ever drink the diatomic, the blue, that will kill you. So yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, stay away, because you'll just end up poisoning yourself.
I should also interpose, I think is the word I'm start using more often. Yes, Burn, that's awesome. That Giant sent me, courtesy of Giant, we just have a new mixer for the recent Tartarians and Exertus projects. This is both a field recorder and a mixer, and it has XLR ports, so it really can work as an interface. It can do it slices, it dices, right? So that's awesome. Thank you, Giant. We're gonna meet up pretty soon in about a week or something. I'm gonna be doing some recordings live. I mean, everything I do now is live, but it'll be mobile, and that'll be interesting. Not just sitting here. I'll be sitting other places. You know what I mean? Like with a laptop. Well, this is a laptop. It's amazing how this could be moving around a lot more than it is, I guess.
Indeed, and it's gonna be, right? Because now you're connected with the Burn Eye Alchemist universe too, and all the streaming I do. I just got another my new laptop's in. It's working well. It's amazing. And we got APEC this Saturday, and possibly tomorrow the Hutchinsons, but I'm trying to get a hold of Jeremiah. Maybe if you want to try calling him. He's been laying low, as has Jeremy, the alien scientist. Both of them kind of missing lately.
Yeah, we gotta attack him from all ends. We'll see what we can do. We'll call all of his friends and family and see if we can get in touch with him. That's how it is with him. Interesting book, The Courier of the Tsar, which I just got recently as a gift. Thank you. And then also some cool postcards that have arrived at the P.O. Box. So if you guys are doing that, thank you very much for sending our P.O. Box things. That's awesome. We really appreciate that. Merry Christmas. This is a picture of Santa Claus lying to the world, telling people that he doesn't exist, from Richard. Richard, man, you're the best. I love the cards you got me, and I love the watch you sent at one point. I appreciate that. That was pretty sweet. Classic 80s style. It is nearby. I don't know where exactly, but I could find it. Also, this is cool. The Victor Clicquot champagne. Some pretty classic
That's cool.
cards here. And this is cool also because it's a picture of bugs and it says, "Here you go, Andreas, have some bugs." You know what I mean? Because that's where we're going.
You're not bugged enough.
Happy New Year 2023. Yeah, man. And then Christmas is rapidly approaching. He's not wrong. So I appreciate these cards. Thank you guys for sending cards in the mail. That's pretty sweet. Have you heard of the what's it called again? The Rundfunk in Amerikanischen Sektor, the RIAS.
Oof, I'm not part of that sex club.
Okay, so have you heard about this thing that you just told me about, actually, that the Scorpions were actually somehow involved with the CIA? The German rock and roll band, the Scorpions, that did Rock You Like a Hurricane?
Oh, yeah. So, sorry, that Red Funk. My bad. So,
No, yeah, it's funny because it's so much bigger than we'd ever realize. Keep going.
Yeah, so there's that podcast that I came across, Wind of Change, and the premise of it is essentially that the CIA wrote the song Wind of Change and kind of had Scorpions release it, and it was during the whole changing of society in Germany, the wall coming down in Berlin. I haven't listened to the whole podcast yet, but it sounds pretty wild. And just some of the stories that I forget how to pronounce the lead singer's name or any of their names, but some of the stories they talk about based on the lyrics and stuff. And it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting because there's some other rock stars that were kind of involved in the story, in the whole scheme of things, because it started off with them going to a rock festival, I think, and they're kind of on this boat with all these rock stars, and you know, I haven't listened to the whole thing, but it's some wild stuff. So I definitely recommend it because it's pretty cool for the little bit that I have.
His Wikipedia page is so empty. It just talks about the fact that he had some hits. It doesn't say like who his parents were, what school he went to, you know, what's
with that? Yeah,
very strange, right?
Because
and,
the podcast talks about how even though they're a German band, they sing in English, and they had a bit of a following in North America, but they're huge in Germany, Brazil. They were naming all these countries where they were just huge. So like for the Wikipedia page to be so barren,
the connection to the producer being Keith Olsen is interesting because he did a lot of that. I mean, I don't want to say it's not the Laurel Canyon stuff. It's like similar though. It's the Minneapolis Ann Arbor kind of pop version of that. And, you know, still associated with Laurel Canyon, with the Beach Boys and a number of these.
Oh, Brian Wilson and sure. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah.
So there's definitely ties there. You know, you can see how the Europop goes from the American 60s into European bands that are being produced, and they're all high production synthetic music and with high rock, you know, well-trained kids. But so the reason I brought it up was because, you know, you have been talking about how you'd seen this thing. And I'd remembered the RIAS, which is this in East Germany. The thing that people listened to was the West German American rock and roll, Amerikanischen sector, right? And so West German radio gave Easterners window to the world during the Cold War. And they'll say it like it's this beautiful thing. So many people reminisce. It was illegal if someone found out you were listening to it, but so many people were doing it. And it turned out, of course, that this was, I mean, we know this, of course, makes sense, that it was a propaganda tool. The West had set up this awesome radio station right at the border that was hitting East Germany, you know, in Berlin, so that as many East Berliners as possible were hearing about the West. And this radio station, you can't see it. You can only dream about it. And they're telling you all about freedom. But what is freedom, right? It's this kind of illusion. And hey, it's not any different than what the Soviets are telling you. The Soviets are promising you freedom as well. So the differences in the kinds of music and the kinds of messages that they put out there. And so rock and roll became a very important hypnotic tool in alluring propaganda machine in East Germany, all because of the West Germans.
That's interesting. I was just reading about some of the ridiculous McCarthy and the Roy Cohn hearings, and some of that had to do with like spies placing radio stations where, you know, it's basically useless to have a station there because nothing's going to get out properly. Just kind of sabotage to that sort of level. So that's interesting that you bring that aspect of it up, Andreas.
Yeah, this is a map of East Germany, so you can see, you know, it's a pretty small part of the rest of Germany. And so, like, having a radio station right here or something means, yeah, pretty much. I mean, they've figured it out pretty well. Like in the West Berlin Wall, to have a radio station in the center like a donut, I think that's actually where the station was. So,
yeah, it's like the beginnings of Soros right there.
Kurt, do you remember from our pre-conversation when we were talking about music theory? You were talking about some things you're doing with FM binaural entrainment, or you know, the left and right channels of audio?
Yeah, Kurt, let's hear that.
I know that sounds like a total segue, but I swear to God, this is just the next part of the same subject. Keep going.
Those are fancy words. They're fancy words. But okay, yeah, you already had the words for something I guess I was describing, because I never would have put it in those terms. But yeah, great. Well, circle, right? Yeah.
Okay, Nikola Tesla, calm down. No, but what did you?
So recently, so my last couple of musical projects, a lot of them, like, well, I do them solo. So I've been diving deeper into certain aspects of thought or an approach that I was going down. Initially, I tried to really experiment with slow perceptual changes and go down and really get under the texture of music. So a lot of the parts of the music might be atonal in nature, but I really wanted to kind of push perception initially. I've done a couple projects where I've done that boring, but now I'm realizing there's a whole nother element here.
I might have explained it too, like I just use these words to say what you did, but explain what you were doing, right?
Okay. Well, with this project, what I'm going to focus on a much longer project. It's going to be the idea behind it is to sort of be an electronical orchestra, but it's going to be panned. There's going to be different parts of the music, and I mean this in the sense of, if I have, for example, for the kick drum, I'm having a one kick drum sample programmed all the way to the left and none on the right. It's going to be panned left, and the other one is going to be written differently and panned right. And so I'm doing that for every single part of the music. So you're going to get essentially different melodies playing in different parts of your ears. And also I'm incorporating some of the last few projects. For example, I'm taking that bass track and I'm actually going, instead of just having the sample remain the same pitch, I'm going to do slight pitch ups and pitch downs throughout the entirety of the track. So you actually get melodies where you wouldn't think your ears normally trained to get those melodies. So I'm really messing with the perception there. And so far, I really like it. But if you are into meditation or other things, other things, I'll just call them things. Yeah. All right. If you're into them, what it's supposed to create is a 3D visual space that you can actually sort of see and meditate on. And that's, you can range, like, if you want to have the full binaural experience, I guess, then you would wear headphones. And if you want a partial binaural experience, then you would just listen on speakers.
Well, so there's a couple ways, but okay. So real quick. So Bernie, what do you think about binaural entrainment? And have you heard of it and you have thoughts? You know what I mean?
That's specifically what we're going to be looking more into in the next Science of Sound episodes. And part of this all is figuring out how to put these sort of healthy, stimulating frequencies back into music and make sure that the harmful, parasitic style, fearful, hate frequencies are taken out. Because the deeper you look into it, the more you see how real it truly is.
Have you ever played with Gnarl? Do you know what Gnarl is? Gnarl, an open source binaural beat generator.
Gnarl away.
So I've been using this for 20
Gnarly.
years. I feel like this is like one of the oldest, still continual open source projects for binaural beats. And the reason I still keep coming back to it is because there's so many presets people have made over the last few decades that are in here, which are incredible. And the way this works right now is on stereo, meaning two, usually like you have a polyphonic system. You could have a 5.1 Dolby surround sound system, and go to your dad's house or somebody you know who's got one of those Best Buy TV set systems, and you could run with your Android phone now the Gnarl beat right through their system. And that is better than headphones, in my opinion. If you're standing in the middle,
not bring this up in the science of sound. Well, it just means we got to do so many more, and with that, also have ominous back.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, but there's so many things you can do with this. For instance, training your body to walk uphill. Your body's picking up physical modeling of the sound physics, and that's what's helping you stay balanced in your equilibrium, right? So these things have to do with the frequencies and hertz, but they also have to do with these weird algorithms that happen from the direction that sound is bouncing and the different environment that are absorbing sounds. So you can really create an entire environment with these sounds that are in the same way that light ray tracing exists in video games. You can make a physics engine that works the same way with sound waves, and the sound waves bounce off and it predicts which direction the sound would flow. And this is called physical modeling synthesis. And so physical modeling synthesis is this idea of, instead of just getting a sample of something, right? Instead of having a photo of you, we study the lines in your face, and then everyone knows how to draw Mickey Mouse. It's not that there's a photo of Mickey Mouse, it's an idea. So they start to learn what kinds of things happen when you hit metal, what kinds of waves appear. And then they make a machine using different kinds of, now the future will be recursive neural nets that can just study all the different times that something fell, all the different ways a piano has ever been hit. And then it's going to be able to replicate the kinds of conditions that made those sound waves, but those will be natural sound waves, like from a synthesizer, just regular analog synthesizer. So, but it would sound, you'd have like Christmas lights that have those Christmas noises. They could sound as clear as a guitar or as a cello or as a piano, because they would be emulating or as a human voice, because they could emulate the exact same conditions that cause those sound waves to appear. And then this also takes no data because you have no samples. So you could have this running in like a small, 10 kilobit file would just be a bunch of code telling you how sound works.
Wow.
That's intense.
Yeah, dog. Yeah.
It is getting pretty crazy. I mean, so the main reasons why you would use binaural entrainment, Bernai, have you looked into some of the benefits, or you've thought about what they they say this could help you with your DMT production or something? Melatonin?
That part was new to me. I think Brittany kind of brought that up a little bit last night, but or anyways, in past stream. More what I told is from a couple ex-military people who are working on this, that were telling me that there's both harmful solfeggios as well as healing solfeggios, and then tying that in with the 440 versus 432 debate and switch and changeover, and looking into such individuals as Yee or Marilyn Manson talking about how they use these different frequencies to manipulate in the pop music and in like the audio tracks of movies and stuff like that.
Right. So, for instance, they did a study. I have a thing called the ganglion neuron what's it called? The ganglion open BCI, something like that. This guy here, it's an Adreno board. I did a Kickstarter for this years ago, so I don't know. Now it's way expensive. It was like way cheap to 3D print it when it first was a project they were working on. I did some dev on it. Where's the picture of it though? It's a helmet, basically.
You have one of those in your head?
It's not in my head, but I printed the 3D set for this thing and built this.
Oh, it's the whole thing. I thought it was a chip. Sorry, it looked.
Yeah,
like,
right. This was like 10 years ago, so this is the earliest renditions of the kinds of people that ended up working for Neuralink and everything. This thing goes on the outside of your head. It's kind of uncomfortable, but it can read what kind of waves are coming from which part of your head at the same time. I think about 32 different points of intersection. And with this, we measured video games, kids playing video games, drinking Red Bull and Monster, and they were high energy and everything. And then figured out with that how to produce the frequencies on either side that would reproduce that same effect in people. And they called it shell shock because it made you just like really over anxious. It didn't quite feel the same as just being happy while that was happening, because you're like, wait, why is this happening? I'm not playing video games or drinking soda or with my friends. So there was a really like cold, empty, emotionless kind of emotion to the rise in the feelings made just from moving the different presets. But there's other ones which will make you fall asleep, make you dizzy. You know, there's ones that'll make you feel like you're upside down, give you vertigo. There are dangerous ones for sure. I mean, but these could, you know, like he said, being used in music, you might find that they're studying human brainwave patterns, figuring out how things are being balanced in equilibrium, and using equilibrium of sound literally just to help you want to shop more, right?
Sorry, I'm just zoning out in the live chat at the moment. Should be paying more attention. What do we have here? So is the colors different tones?
We got some different colors here, Bernie. Pick a color, pick a number, you know, boom, one of those things. And
but see, specific frequencies make the human mind see those colors, or like, is there?
So these are the different points of the head. These are 8 points on the earlier ganglion. I've got one with 32. So these are, you would normally see 32 lines here, but with these 8, it's telling you what size, what interval, and how often the spikes happen, which part of your brain are thinking what kinds of frequency thoughts. And so with that, the easiest thing you can say to use it for is to train someone to type, because you could predict words on a screen, figure out what kinds of words are being chosen by which thought parts of your brain, and then you could use it as a remote controller for a video game. Use your brain as a remote controller. But you could do it for a lot of other things as well, like we were saying, recording what your reactions are to certain kinds of sounds, putting that into music, using that to control the frequencies of 2 different hertz, and then having the equilibrium bounce off.
That sounds incredible.
That sounds like Elon Musk's wet dream for Neuralink right there.
All right.
Yeah.
I think it's it's a little bit different. I will send you a sample of what I'm doing. Like, again, it's going to take me a long time because I'm going to have like different movements and stuff, and like it's going to be 15-minute tracks. So it'll take me a while to actually keep it fresh for the entirety of it, but I'll send you something. And yeah,
you keep it fresh, dog. You keep it fresh.
Have you heard of the Wall of Sound, the Grateful Dead's Wall of Sound?
Like,
yeah.
Like, look,
I hate the Grateful Dead. They're not even good, man.
Well, no,
that's the whole point of blasting it at you.
I know.
Yeah,
like,
the Grateful Dead were actually originally called
the
Grateful Dead were originally called the Warlocks, which means to betray the secrets of the Coven. And they had an insane asylum in San Francisco converted into their headquarters. Jerry Garcia cut off his lower part of his pinky, right? His finger. He said it was an accident, but there's all these associations with the Chronicles of Prydain. All right.
Whoa, and he cut it off on purpose?
So in the Chronicles of Prydain, which is a very popular book at the time of his childhood and into the teenage years, this guy puts all of his power into his magic finger and cuts off his finger, and he has to give it to it, in order to be super powerful. And then this kid finds it and sews it onto his hand. And there's a whole idea with, the magic you have to give to, you have to do a blood sacrifice in order to become part of the cult, or give something to the devil or something like that. And he had to give his finger. Let me see if I can find the Jerry Garcia finger. You know what I mean?
So I was literally just looking at this stuff like last week.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy finger. Is that what that's about?
Yeah, and if you look into the CIA and the Grateful Dead, I mean, just the fact that they played every university, just the fact that they were the band to show up at that time, it's very
CIA house band.
They were the CIA house band. I know that hurts a lot of people because they really want to love the Grateful Dead, but
But
I mean, even if you love Fish, even if you love the Grateful Dead, you can still appreciate like what we're saying here is that the association with the most important people, Augustus Owsley, the Bear, working with the CIA and making acid available, and being the grandson of the governor of, I always forget, Kentucky or whatever. But so then the Grateful Dead produces this.
Look at that wall of speakers. It looks like a military operation.
Exactly. And they have like so many people showing up at these things that they have like 3 walls of sound. They have a few of them way at the back, and then they're synced up so that the sound will relay at because it takes a certain amount of time for sound to travel and everything. So they have this all figured out, and this is the beginnings, a lot of people say, of the wall of sound of surround sound. But it isn't, right? But it isn't, because if you go back even further, of course,
the hypogeum in Malta is thousands of years old, and literally
who's this sexy black lady?
I typed Fantasia, and apparently that's no longer what you type. But you get Fantasia, I guess that's what you get that instead.
I'm putting Fantasia on there.
Fantasia sound system, if I look it up, sound, a special Fantasound. So Fantasound was a special kind of way of reproducing the sound of an orchestra by having speakers for each individual instrument set up in this crazy wall of sound. So you'd have a giant multi-track system to record Fantasound, if I can find a picture. And the crazy systems that they had to invent. But these are maybe these are some of the earlier ones that we can see in the 20th century. And then, now we get to go to what's it called? The hypergeum, Bernie? The
hypogeum in no R. Hypogeum, I think, in Malta.
Hypogeum in Malta. Ogium. All right, I'll give you that. That's all right.
Sorry, I spelled it a little wrong.
No, I did 3 times wrong first.
Get that for you.
Oh yeah. And then Graham Hancock got this recently.
So in this place, you can speak in one spot, and it travels and projects the sound through the entire underground chamber and actually magnifies it by the end. So if you're in other rooms, it's way louder. It's crazy.
That is so cool, Bernie.
That is
located.
Malta.
This is in Malta, and this is also the place that they found a bunch of elongated skulls in, and when they were excavating it. And then there's a legend in like the early 1900s of a school bus of children going missing in here, and one of the survivors saying it was a bunch of robed, elongated, skulled people that like shrieked at them and stole the children. Quite
a Stone Age vacuum tube amplifier, or at least a stone tube amplifier. The Malta's elongated skull thing is interesting because they keep trying to hide it because they're saying. I think the
And
funniest
that's
reason.
the place where it was found too. That's what's so crazy about it in this
Well,
place.
Malta's hyper concerned that they're going to lose what it is that makes them Maltese if they admit that they were settled 20,000 years earlier and there's always been people living there.
Every place is
over.
like that, hey?
Oh, this is fun. Can you imagine though, like the humans that look like this, and everyone's like thinking they're aliens? Like how racist that is, because like that's just
Really? Yeah, right.
It reminds me of
They're all hominids.
the second X-Files movie, the second X-Files movie. Crazy.
What is the? I don't remember the movie. Which one's the movie?
This.
Oh yeah.
The one, where he has to freaking go on the ship at the end to save Scully. The truth is out there, maybe. But it starts off, and the kid falls into the tomb, and it's not as detailed as that, but it has. I think it has like a weird skull and everything.
How would you build that underground, carving it out, knowing including those acoustic properties into it? Like it's just.
Well, I mean, imagine you're Kurt and you want to make some music, but you don't have like binaural entrainment, so but you have rocks. I don't know. It's probably not how that goes.
Ominous is like he even stated this is his dream place for doing a show.
All right, we're gonna do it. Ominous,
we are.
Go to Malta. You know, I have to go to Malta anyway. Because not just because of Tartaria, although that's the more.
So you have a Knights of Malta calling meeting to go to, Zertis.
You can neither confirm nor deny it. Here's the deal, though. Check this out.
Moving on. Next topic.
There is an amusement park where they shot the movie Popeye in Malta. The entire set from the movie Popeye is still there. You can go visit Popeye's Town. You can gladly get a hamburger for 2 bits. You'd pay for Tuesday. Was it? I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. I don't think anybody remembers.
I didn't even know there was a movie.
What? Popeye with Robin Williams? Yeah.
Paul Cook
Melissa over here.
Sorry, just to interject.
Robin Williams was Popeye? What? Am I having
wow, that's how old that movie is?
Mandela effect.
That's how old that movie is. Dude, that movie is so much cocaine. I don't even know what happened. That movie's out of control. But the one I think, because you got to remember, Popeye is a weird character. He's this he's a foreigner who's been raised mostly on the boats, but kind of around America. He might be first generation American. He might be half generation, zero generation.
Movie I'm writing down right now.
I think Popeye's like Icelandic, and he lost his eye. We don't even know how, but clearly there was a gnarly accident.
Blow, man. He probably
Popeye filmed in Malta.
Popeye was filmed in Malta, right at that location.
Paul Cook to go back to this spot and check it out. Do you know Paul Cook or his work there?
Which one's Paul Cook?
He's a channel. He's been to Malta a few times. He looks through the star forts. He also finds like the geopollen.
Right. Paul Cook. Yes, this
we're
guy.
Gonna be doing a couple interviews with him coming up again. Me, myself, and Campbell. Me, myself.
Nice.
You can join if you'd like. But Michelle Gibson was also supposed to do a round table coming up with Paul Cook, me, and Campbell as well. But he's going back to Malta to live permanently for in a couple of months. He should be there all of next year. So we need to take Ominous there and do a live event because it would be epic, and let's manifest it.
That sounds legit.
That's crazy.
Malta's an amazing place. You look at Malta and you have to wonder about what's going on there, but I think it's interesting that sound comes up every time. This idea that there's like the temple's built through sound, silence and sound, that they have to build it in a silent place. They have to make it a completely silent place. So these places are perfect for acoustics, but they're also really quiet unless you make noise in them. It's pretty interesting.
Wow.
What about Royal Rife? Heard of Royal Rife, Kurt?
Bernie's work. Love it.
Have you heard
I'm down
have
to
you heard
learn.
this guy? Tell us a bit about who Royal Rife is, Bernie.
He's the one that was healing with sound, correct?
Exactly. He invented the Rife cannon or something, which is like
Oh.
or the rifle. Get it? No, but it's this is this thing that makes noises, and they use it for. Explain it maybe better.
That I think he was able to calculate the exact resonant frequency, so the cymatic frequency of specific viruses and diseases like cancer, and then put that same cymatic sound frequency back into them, which would then destroy them, just like glass is destroyed when you play the note that resonates the glass.
This to find the effects of sonification. So sonication, there's been since then all of this work going into matching up what frequencies tumors are at, and then hitting them with specifically small speakers, micro speaker cannons, basically at the end of these tubes, and then it vibrates until the thing explodes, destroying it. And then, so they're using literally Rife style sound healing now. All over the world, China and Russia and the United States, Berkeley, California, Johns Hopkins University. It is the future and it is the past, this idea of Rife healing. So all it really takes is figuring out the different kinds of frequencies that the body is and the environment the body's in are in, and trying to match them.
Look at that machine.
That's awesome.
Right.
Shout out to Sarah Esra, who is about to set up with a woman who has one of these devices, and says also planning on building her own. So we will have her back on soon to talk about this.
Yes, please. We'd love to hear more. And so this has been a big idea, the connection between Rife healing and cathedrals, because he talked about the idea of cathedral organs, and cathedral organs are really interesting because you go in and you see it's kind of like the way, if you imagine, it looks really like a modular synthesizer. Like it's really confusing. Like this is
you could think with the organs, a combination of the organ, the architecture, or the choirs. Like it's possible that because of all of these interacting frequencies that you achieve you could only achieve like a full absolute spectrum of sound like during services, and like if there is any sort of healing properties about all these frequencies, or hearing the entirety of the spectrum of frequency, that the only place you could get physically healed in some cases was actually religion. Weirdly enough, like
well, it's why is it called an organ?
There you go.
They've taken
organ tuning,
ancient technology and healing devices that are these structures and instruments, and perverted them with their own religion ideologies over top.
Charging people to get into the building, but the building itself is this technology. It's kind of like a hospital. You go in, it does this thing. So this is the other thing that's interesting. We've talked about this before, but you've seen the windows behind these organs, because to me,
frequencies.
This to me is very similar to like when you see like a Moog patch. Somebody's got on their synthesizer rack, they might have a patch or tweak set up. They're like, okay, well, let's just put it a specific way. It'll do a specific thing. You'll know because it'll make the right tones. It'll be, like a keyboard, the correct tones in 432, 444. That's essentially what all these things are trying to do, right? It's the same thing. You'll know it because you'll see it in the window, right? What's that called? Subwoofer patterns. Cymatics.
Cymatic, the cymatic frequencies.
Cymatic's probably better. Yeah, there you go. So when you have you ever done this, Kurt, where you put like powder on your subwoofer?
I think I've seen the videos, but the videos are pretty like trippy. Yeah, it's cool.
You could easily do this. You've got the speakers. You could just get like a piece of saran wrap or something to put it on top of, so you're not like getting.
We'll be doing it in 2023 in the Science of Sound together.
There you go. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I remember Howard
yeah.
Stern made a girl sit on one once. Sorry, what you said?
No, those are the cathedral windows. All of those could be cathedral windows. They're all.
You
exactly.
see where we're going with this, right?
And
So
like,
this is the idea.
There are specific cymatic frequencies that those cathedral windows have been made into. One of them, I believe, is hydrogen itself, and it's the actual cymatic frequency of hydrogen that's in that window.
It's pretty interesting when you get if you do the experiment and you start to play the different tones and you get these patterns to emerge, right? Then you start to recognize that the windows are actually toned to which tone the organ's supposed to play at, which is often at 432 hertz, right? Which is 432 hertz. What do you guys think about 432 hertz?
I know the stuff to it. I know. You can just feel it when you actually have someone that actually has their instruments tuned to 432 as opposed to 440. And that's the biggest problem with a lot of it is people claim it's 432, but they actually haven't changed the right.
So I've thought about this since it was last brought up. And it's possible in the context of maybe classical music, there can be in the physical space a certain level of harmonic feedback that might affect the music. I think that's only the real case where that affects maybe the spirit of the song. What I've noticed, like if you play back to back, the main takeaway of 432 versus 440 is that 432 is lower. I think if you did a preferential poll of, like, let's say 432 versus 440, and it was, double blind, whatever, and you polled it and you took those results and compared them to maybe 432 over 426, you might find similar results in that, just simply based off the fact that one is a lower frequency than the other. It sounds maybe too simple, but I think that is what is going on. Like, you're going to naturally feel more relaxed if you're hearing something that is tuned, a song that's played in a slightly lower frequency than something.
Did you say 426? 426?
Yeah, I was just
426 is a great 426 is a great tone. So it also goes along the solfeggio, and it has to
I was just guessing. I didn't know people actually did this.
Well, there we go. Maybe it needs to be 426, even more so than 432.
I'll give it a shot. So all my stuff's
If
at 432.
it's an actual solfeggio, that would make so much sense.
So there's quarters and 16th solfeggios. So there's also 285, 396, 417, 528. These are all fractions that you can use as well. There's a number of different frequencies that you can use along the scale that are useful for acclimating, right? So it's not all about 432, and often you'll have people that play like three or four different tones together like a band, which is kind of reasonable. It's a thing to do.
Oh, exactly. You're bang onto it with this right now.
So really, it should be 417. That's what it should be.
417 looks pretty good. We have to listen to it. I don't know. I might have to. 417 hertz tone. How hard is it going to be to play this?
Pure tone.
Just pure tone.
There's a lot that claim they are.
Okay, hold on.
There's some actual half decent ones out there that it's like I've noticed, like when I put it on, I actually feel more relaxed and whatnot. There's also some that claim to be, and it's like it just agitates the shit out of me.
I think depending on the song, because different songs have different moods, like in different timbres or different, generally different frequencies, like different. Changing the hertz can have radically different effects if you're pitching up or pitching down, depending on the song. Just because naturally, I Want to Dance with Somebody is going to naturally sound different than Hurt by Johnny Cash. No, just dance with somebody.
I want to feel the heat with somebody. Yeah. I did this cover once that was like, kiss me down by the bleeding barley. Leave me. I'm in the morning alone. Sure.
Pure beauty. I like it.
Well, that was
I mean, you could do it. You can do. I think there's transformative things that you can put. Yeah, you have them. You've done it. You've taken 440 and just re-pitched it to 432. Or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I made my dad listen to some tones a couple years ago. I was like, "What do you think about this one? What do you think about that one?" He's like, "Well, that I don't know. What does that mean, tones?" I'm like, just like what? Just tell me what you think. You know, it's like just a tone. I'm like, yeah, but just and it's like, well, this just kind of sounds like a robot, kind of. I'm like, yeah, it's a tone. And the next one I play 430. She's like, well, this was like kind of like more like nature.
Philosophy.
It's like a yeah, right.
Tyler Gordon is asking.
This is kind of like this is maple epistemology right now. But so he's saying, okay, well, 432 it feels more like a natural tone, and then I play like 455 or something like that, or 552 or something. There's a couple others that are like definitely you probably don't want to be listening to all the time and are closer associated with like microwaves than they are with music. He's like, yeah, that just feels like that just like grates the back of my neck. So I mean, clearly we're designed like predatorily and sensorially to be able to detect good and bad sounds, like scary sounds, dangerous sounds, threatening sounds. Yeah, I mean, I think it's true, and I think that's also. There's also sounds that make you feel like in peace. You're like, okay, well, birds, when they're singing, it means it's not very dangerous in this part of the forest, right? And so that's kind of in a weird way and intuitively, oh, this is a pretty safe part of the forest. There's lots of chirping birds. No chirping birds. What's going on? Everybody doesn't want to speak up because they're afraid, you know. And this is the kind of thing that nature. The more sounds you're used to, people even have these sound machines when they sleep because it's distressing to be in utter silence, right?
Oh, I have to have a fan on in the background. I like can't sleep without white noise.
See, I like a silence, but a lot of people hate it. I think it's because I had it a lot, you know, as a kid. Whereas, like, I know people who grew up in like suburbia. There's a lot of cars driving by. You know, if you don't have a car driving by, people live in the city. If you don't have a siren every few hours, it's kind of weird, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's true. Actually, it's because I was in the city growing up, and then like the first time I had a fan going where like I fell in love with the white noise background was when I went out to the country to like spend a month with my babushka, good old grandmother. That I needed that white noise to remind me of the city and everything going on.
Keenan says it's been a test of the emergency broadcast. If this is only a test. If this was real, he'd be dead. I don't know. I mean, so it's kind of interesting to me, like that. If we're thinking about the idea of how sound affects us, because a lot of time we talk about how light affects us. We'll say, "Okay, can you see blue the same way? Does everyone see blue the same way?" Do you think people hear things the same way? I mean, clearly they don't. We know that, right? I mean, you've got people they get older and they can't hear the same word because you have two tones, one's in a higher pitch and people go deaf to that. You know what I'm talking about? Old and young, hear different words.
Yeah.
Hear it. There's this sound here. I'll have to do my whole thing again. Audio.
I'm be right back. I'm just gonna refill my water and go for a quick dab break. Well, Red Eye Special coming back, eh?
I don't know.
Dabba-dabba-roo!
I don't know if it's worth mentioning. There's very much the rabbit hole of World War II and 432. I think I've definitely heard of that, and it's just like, how much credence do you want to give to?
That is the time that they switched it over. It's documented that it was. Like,
I mean, history's
one of the
fine.
SS guys.
But like as far as like, oh, it was a
musical instruments produced in Europe were at 432 before then, and it's been 440 Rockefeller standard ever since. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
I mean, yeah, and there's the underlying claims that I don't know, it's about world domination or mind control, whatever. It's just like, you can think people can think whatever they want. I just like, I don't know. I try to have some sort of basis in reasoning, and I can't find for me, a rational basis in reasoning for believing any of that. I can't find it.
Did you guys hear any of that? Which ones could you hear or not hear? Did you hear any of those tones?
I didn't hear any of that.
You can play it again if you like.
I mean, it's like, so here's the thing. Those tones, when you're over 18, you can't hear some of those tones for most people. I can hear almost all of them, which I think is interesting. I can't hear the one you can't hear over 6 very well, unless I'm using like the best of headphones or something like that, because it's so high pitched. But the 18-year-old one I can hear. A lot of people over 18 can't hear the one. And then all the other ones I'm fine. But I have a lot of friends who are, our own age, who went to concerts a lot and everything, and they can't hear high frequency pitches above a certain. And as you get older, you lose your range of how much you can pick up on. I mean, that's just true for everybody. So it seems like we're getting to a point where there's going to be more and more subjectivity to our reality, because even the colors and sounds that we get to hear, those aren't the real frequencies. That's just our, the amount that we react to them.
I like reacting to frequencies. I can tell you that.
But we don't know how much we do and don't. What was that thing called? The moonworm? What the heck is that thing called?
I have noticed, for me personally, like it's interesting to consider the primal aspect of tone, because like I've recognized, like if I it's easy if you meditate and pay attention to your own behavior, what different results that it yields. I think probably in my life, when I've decided to try to have a slower mindset and really patient, well, that naturally changes the tone of your voice. So if I'm talking fast and excited, I can talk like that. It'll be slightly higher, but now I'm slowing down my pitch a little bit. This is how I talk on the phone to customers. I probably have been more successful in my dating life ever since, like I've just talked at a slower pace. You can't measure any one thing, but I would say, it has a real, I think, subliminal effect on people. I'm single I'm single right now, but over the year, if I compared years of my life where like, oh, these things ran together and maybe I was like more socially successful, it was because I had good control over my tone and it was lower, I think there's something there. I don't know how to quite describe it though.
Mindfulness, bro. You're mindful. Yeah. You're mindful of it.
Yeah. And it's just, I think that can affect your social relationships in very profound ways.
Absolutely, man.
So this thing, the Platanarius Dumerili, this guy here has one eye, but no, it doesn't have any eyes really. But what he has is
which one is it, man?
He has a third eye underneath his skin in the center of his brain.
One eye. He's got 2 eyes, but he's got it's
one
really just,
eye,
but no
just
eye.
One eye.
Third eye, man. What are you talking about, man?
Basically, this thing though, it's able to see only ultraviolet light, right? So it can't really see light either because it's embedded in its brain, but it can perceive.
Can it see it or not, man?
Well, can we? What is sight rather than like light bouncing off something, and it's like able to bounce if it's not if it's a wave.
On me, man.
So this thing is probably like using psychic powers in a sense because it's using its third eye to experience the ultraviolet light and only the ultraviolet part of the spectrum, and so it's not able to see anything else but the psychic part. It's basically Daredevil.
Damn. I just had
This is why, if there's country music playing on at music, I just at work, I just want to commit suicide.
Really?
Oh, I hate country music.
I don't see how that. I didn't quite get because of the worms and their nocturnality. What was the reason?
No, just connecting all of this, all of this. It's I think some of it is frequency. I honestly believe some, but it's like old and lazy frequency because like there hasn't been any sort of evolution in pop country music in 25 years. So it's like I don't know. It's like you're staring.
You know, I put it to my fans to try to disprove that. I feel like there are a lot of other things going on. There's probably Australian country music as well or something. So if there's anyone out there who has some examples of like in the last 20 years, some great country music you want to point out, I'm down to hear it. I mean, I definitely love Hank Williams and all the originals.
Pop country specifically, I'm talking more like radio play. It's its own version of awful hellscape, in my opinion.
All part of the plan, though, right? Like Christian music.
You know, just talking, going down the swimming hole, and having an ace in the hole, and getting it.
All the Christian music is
taking it in your hole, and all.
I think the entirety of modern pop country is a psyop. You could say that about. I mean, you could make
all
claims
record
about
labels, all records, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at these guys. These Satanists that are pretending to be country singers.
Whoa! Look at these guys.
Don't get me wrong. I like
that
the outfit.
award.
I
Look
like
at those
it.
butt plugs. Holy.
I have some questions. I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, the lindworm, a mythical creature in the northern and central European folklore living deep in the forest that traditionally has the shape of a giant serpent monster. And it's a man-eater, and sometimes it sings, and you like hear it and come towards the sound.
Wow.
Like you don't know why, you just do. So I wonder about this also, this idea of these hypnotic subharmonic frequencies that you're not really, they're inaudible frequencies to you, but they're still affecting you. Your eardrum's not picking up on them, maybe, but maybe your cochlear bone still is. And it might mess with north and south and your idea of direction, where you're supposed to go. And these were used often to trap people, to lure people into traps, right? The lindworm. So, I mean, music can be used to make the world a better place, but I think also just showing the Grateful Dead and the lindworm, we have some ideas here about how music can be used to hypnotize people. How Disney uses music, right? Like they play the sounds of scissors cutting to make you feel like your hair's getting cut at the Abraham Lincoln ride.
Oh, Jesus, really?
Yeah, have you been to Disney? Have you ever been to Disneyland?
Yeah, I was pretty young.
So they have a thing.
I don't even remember the Lincoln part.
I think it's one of the best attractions. It's like this 1960s perfect animatronic president, which really goes to show you what Disney was working on in the 60s.
Yeah, dude, no kidding.
but they have a part where you put on some earplugs before the president will see you now, happens. And before then, you're in there and you're wearing the headphones and you hear scissors that are just like, it's I wish I had scissors because you just hear it in your ears and it feels like your hair's getting cut.
Oh, but are you actually getting a haircut or what?
No, but your hair feels lighter and you feel like, because you can feel it in the back of your neck, like right around the edges where your hair's getting cut. Because it's the perfect ASMR sound of haircut. So the scissor snipping, it's just perfect, and you can hear actual hairs getting cut in the scissors, and it feels real. Wow. So it's weird. Yeah, here it's distressing on some women and people with long hair. They're like, "What's going on?" And afterwards, they feel like they've had a haircut for like a while until they walk around, and the weight comes back.
That's weird.
Sound illusions. What's the other one? The MIT plastic bag sound laser. Laser can deliver messages directly to your ear from across the room. So is this the right one? This isn't the one. Okay. See Sound Laser MIT. How about that? Let me see the bag. This might be. Well, oh, this is still interesting. MIT has invented slightly eerie lasers that can transmit whispers only you can hear. So this pushes smoke or just vapor that's in the environment, and then that's pushing, the sound waves. So it's actually the lasers pushing sound waves, and then you're hearing little. So they can actually, while you're at a club, tell you, or maybe while you're walking on the street, tell you, Elvis is in your head, and not even using radio, just using laser to actually make you hear it in your cochlear bone.
That's
unilateral speaker. That's nuts, right? Yeah. New technology being developed at MIT's Lincoln Laboratory uses laser light to excite moisture in the air surrounding a target's ear, causing it to quietly whisper a personal message from several meters away. So, I think it's pretty crazy. Like, we're at a point now where all this is out. I'm pretty sure this was already something that they could do maybe 50 years ago. But this is like a GitHub project, basically. You could start using your laser pointer to whisper into people's ears. Just imagine.
Yeah, I imagine that's only multiple thousands of dollars.
No, a laser is pretty cheap now. A few hundred, maybe a couple $1,000 to get a great laser for really far distance, but you can get a couple $100 laser these days. So, lasers have definitely come down in price.
I'm saying, if you whip something out, you're like, hey, I'm gonna be sneaky in class or something, it's like that type of technology.
You could find the thing, sound,
like the umbrella. He stabbed the guy with the umbrella by accident. Oh, sorry, and he poisoned the guy, and he's dead in 3 days.
Okay, this is pretty cool.
Extracting audio from visual information.
Patent pending, buddy. Patent pending.
2014 is a long time ago. So I remember this was happening. They took a bag and they basically, you've got these vibrations that are being read in a camera. It sees the vibration.
You told me this shit, man. Wow, this is crazy.
An algorithm is recovered, and then it knows. So around the room, there were two people. The room was about 20 foot wide. They were talking. These are the words they said, and they can do it just because there's a plant in the room. So there's a video through a window of an apartment. You can hear what's going on in the apartment just based on the physics model synthesis. Just figuring out what would likely happen, what kind of sounds would it take to do that to a plant, to bend it that way, ever so subtly. And a bag of chips. If you don't have a plant, you just throw a bag of chips down there. And then, there's this camera looking at a bag of chips, able to read what it's saying.
Wow.
It's Shazam for the CIA.
Fly over here.
Pretty nuts, man. Pretty nuts.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. This is good content. I just want to say. No, I've really enjoyed this. I've just enjoyed sitting back. And
well, don't feel like you have to sit back. If you have thoughts, man, bring things up. I've just been just pulling up some thoughts on sound, I know you got thoughts on sound.
I'm just not sure which tangent to go. It's like we have too many options of what we could talk about, like in terms of this whole spectrum of spectrums. Yeah.
Go a direction. And we can, because there's always another time to talk about other things. So whatever you're thinking. What was your impulse?
No particular impulse right now. My mind is kind of going toward say with I thought binaural frequencies, that whole entrainment, that was interesting. And now what I'm thinking is now, since
polyneural.
Well, yeah, that too. But if with some of the writing I've been doing that with an atonal approach. Like, say you took something, or you wanted to write something in the realm of, let's say, something more classical like Vivaldi or Bach. I don't think a lot of people, I don't know if anybody's tried that or been exposed. Like I've been doing atonal, but you could totally do tonals, or you could do like harmonic minors and stuff and C, but like still pan alternate notes to opposite sides. And I think, well, we're at least raised to have a structural recognition of certain, well, definitely certain tones, but certain keys. So you can have a completely different approach, I think, if you take an atonal approach, or if you take a harmonized approach. So I think there's two completely different feels there. One, but it's a different kind of mind blowing when it comes to, I don't know, what's that center of your brain called? I'm blanking on it. You know, your corpus callosum, is that it?
Medulla oblongata.
Yeah, I think that's quite a radical path to go down, like, and being experimental on that. So yeah, I think the field's kind of wide open there in terms of what we can experiment with, and that's what I enjoy, because I can only kind of experiment with one or maybe several ideas at a time, but there's a lot of different tangents you could go down there. Yeah, there's a lot of dimensions, and so like, oh, now I see, like, this is like part of my creative flow. Once I go down like these thoughts, like, what if you do subtle, you could do like a 5-minute song, but do a subtle, very subtle hertz change from one, and do it gradually from the beginning of the song to the end of it. So like by the time you're at the end of it, you hear a slight different pitch. Part of that might have actually gone on, I think, in live recordings of how they used to do music. It's like, say they were recording in the room and there might have been a thermostat change. Well, naturally that would have an effect on the instruments, perhaps over the course of the song. So yeah, I don't know how far you could go down this rabbit hole, but I think there's something there. And I've done a little bit of this where you could see that from many aspects as well. You could also see that that slow, gradual change. You can do that a little bit with tempo too.
There's
really
no way they weren't thinking about that. You look at these organs with all of these buttons. They're affecting all the little holes on the tubes. You know, they definitely were thinking about that.
Do you remember that Dr. Seuss cartoon when he had the piano and he pressed the buttons? And do you remember that?
No.
No? Oh, come on. There, right?
Yep. That's it. Yeah. And he's pulling the knobs and stuff. Yeah, it's a freaking that's the synthesizer meme waiting to happen. Somebody with a Eurorack, please make that into a meme. That's pretty good.
What's that from? What's it called? The Movie Holic.
The Pantoffels, Pock and his magic piano.
Wow.
I don't remember this story.
I don't remember that name at all, but I remember the piano.
That's
I thought I saw the. Doesn't the Grinch have it at some point?
Is there no like copy of it on archive.org? You'd think it would be on archive.org somewhere, just like 'cause it's old enough. Let's see here. I'll have to get a copy of it just to read the book, man.
Yeah, man, that was a weird one. Like, do you remember that Grinch? The one where it's like, it's a nice night for eyebrows or whatever. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I've got a video cassette that has like all of the different ways they did the sound effects, and there's just like a dude sitting there like chewing on apples and throwing them onto a pile. Really impressive, actually. One guy just doing that. But yeah, pulling these, and then they pull a little latch that opens up the pipe, right? Organ pipe latch. I don't know if I can see a picture of it, right? Yeah, these are all electric, but these will open and close, and so that changes the frequency of the pitch, along with the fact that there's wind going through it, and so the amount of wind will change it like a bagpipe. So it just, if you think about how crazy sophisticated it is, there you go.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely.
It's just the idea that this was somehow, I mean, how does this accidentally happen? I get it, Euroracks are getting out of control, but I just don't see how pipe organs just sort of like take over the Middle Ages. That is a lot of work to build a pipe organ, unless it's just literally because you believe, maybe even rightly so, that these things have healing properties. Like, why else would you put this? Is just so crazy, the amount of effort to put into building this amazing thing. Not to divert. I'm sorry, Kurt. Go ahead.
No, I was glad you took the handle because I think I kind of reached the end of that thought, and now, yeah, I was absorbing what you had to say.
It's interesting looking at atonal synths as well, because the thing is, they really are very similar to a pipe organ. The idea of a circuit
and I think that might have been what was missing out of a lot of pretty much any previous era of music, and definitely during any sort of classical era. That's what was missing, was a completely atonal approach to a lot of these, and just purely going off of singular tonal pleasure and one singular movement to the other. And that's if I do any sort of melodic writing, that's one thing I guess I'm trying. I don't know if I'm trying, but like, it's that I don't think there's been enough exploration there. So like, as far as the atonal aspect of it, I think there might be a few other composers out there that attempt that approach. I just don't think it's been put in any sort of sphere or medium where people can truly hear it. I think we have an opportunity to put it there because we have technology, and because we just have so many tools at our disposal, and it's so fun because I think there's so much ground to be covered there.
Do you think there's a reason why, like, in Pennsylvania, like, there's such great music and synthesis? Like, I've all my life thought there's really great music that's come out of Pittsburgh for whatever reason, and Pennsylvania in general just has interesting people. I have some friends, the Pittsburgh Modular Synthesizer group, that make the Lifeforms modular organism. Good. I was really worried I was going to call it the modular orgasm, which I am trademark patent pending for my synth, but the SV1. And I mean, it's just some of the most amazing. This is better than a Moog. I mean, don't let them hear that I said that, but this is in my opinion better than a Mother 32. And I mean, what is the deal? Like, what is going on in Pittsburgh that there are people that are like interested in psychedelic music and are like organs and everything in between?
That's crazy, man.
I've only been through Pittsburgh a few times, but I do have a couple friends that live there. What I would say is I've lived in the past pretty rough areas. I think, generally, like, Pittsburgh does have some problems economically speaking, but I would say in particular about those areas is that I think there's something about disenfranchisement that sometimes does breed innovation from the people that actually survive. It's like, I think a lot of the best art really does come out of areas that have a reason to evolve, or evolve out of necessity, out of like livelihood. Like, when you have, like, let's say, I'm not talking about Pittsburgh, but in Chicago, I think Chicago, although it has problems,
we can do Pittsburgh. I'll just show pictures of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I'm in a weird way, I am comparing Pittsburgh to Chicago. I think there are some overlaps there, but I think a lot of amazing art comes out of Chicago. I think the ideology there has a lot of problems to be desired. I don't think you should necessarily hold up your problems as a beacon to the world. And I think that's where Chicago kind of gets it wrong. But the artistic output from cities like Chicago and Pittsburgh and others, I would say maybe I think some great ones. Cleveland has probably I've explored some Cleveland art. Cleveland has some great art out there.
Cleveland rocks.
These are all cities that have their struggles, but our artistic element there is extremely undeniable in my opinion. So hopefully that's a good answer, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
that's some good funk. Sorry,
I got thoughts on Detroit, Cleveland, and Chicago. I just still don't get Pennsylvania. I think that so. I had a guy on the show recently, St.
Well,
John.
there's some struggle in the cities of Pennsylvania. I would say for the rest of us that I'm definitely in a more rural area. I'm not saying I am successful, but my perception of like
Man, they
art-
got it tough.
my perception of arts in rural areas is that there's a lot of space and a lot of weirdness that occurs in rural life, and in particular to the Northeast. I guess why is there more? I guess a little bit of its density, like we're more population dense than a place like Montana, and there's probably great artists in Montana, but like you get more iterations in the rural like Northeast, and that might be why there's great art. Now, as far as like the South, I don't know. I have no explanation for the South.
My buddy St. John, he's been trying to redeem the swastika amongst other things. He's from Pennsylvania, and he grew up in a rural part of Pennsylvania. It was interesting hearing him talk about what it's like in where he's from, because his grandfather was like a minister that was like Amish adjacent, and he grew up with a lot of Amish in the community, and he knew Amish that had like radios in their buggies with like subwoofers, because they were really into music. And that he was explaining that the Amish scene is way different than we realize. And there's some people that they allow to get a lot closer to them, which are people that are, again, Amish adjacent, like Mennonites, and people that they're supportive of the community, but they're technically outside of the community still. But those are the people that they can go through.
Look at that lady. She's like, no, don't steal my soul, covering her face from the camera.
Right. Yeah. But
she's like, I don't give a shit.
Dude, she has 12 kids. I know that they get down. Like, it is what it is to be Amish, And I think that's the point. Like, the Amish write a lot harder than people realize. And I thought they didn't make music. They do. It's just only about God. So I wonder a lot about the Amish and about Pennsylvania. I mean, do you think that how much do you think the Amish influenced Pennsylvania? Is it like our version of like Chinatown in San Francisco?
There's Chinatowns everywhere, and there's like Amish Mennonite villages
Amish temple, right? Yeah,
like they're here too in Alberta and Canada. Like they're all over.
You're like, hey, defend the Amish.
Yeah, they're the communities, but it's like how there is everywhere. They're like just like there literally is a Chinatown in every single city. There's like an Amish town outside that city somewhere.
Do you think though, as like growing up around Amish, it doesn't affect your life at all? Like you don't feel like Amish at all?
Oh, there's definitely Amish influence. Do you know how many times I've been invited down to the kitchen house for the Friday night cook-off?
Is that an Amish thing?
I guess that was a horrible accent, but yeah, it's an Amish thing.
I don't know. That might be the right accent. I don't how am I supposed to know?
Could be.
It might be. That might be like a Calgarian Amish. I don't know.
The Calgarian Targaryen Amish.
I do wonder though, like especially like Pennsylvania music system, because you got the Amish are abandoning technology so much. That's their whole ag, right? Is that they hate technology, but they came from a time when organs were pretty much the thing. Like in the 1600s, people loved organs, right? So, are they anti-organ?
That guy wearing a mask, like.
It's also interesting that like Muslims do this, where they shave the front and they keep the bottom beard, and Amish do that as well. I see strong connections between the old Islam and middle
very intimidating
and
Catholicism. Amish. What was I going to connect it to? Amish. Oh, Oregon. I want to see if there's ever. Do they ever play? Do the Amish get to play organs? I don't know.
Right, like that. Oh, that's a good question, because the organ is like literally the most advanced analog machines that we've ever made. So are they just against digital, or do they also hate analog organs?
Why the Amish don't play musical instruments?
You may not have any music.
They can only play the harmonica. Come on. In other words, they left an organ when they came to America. That's the only reason you'd play a freaking harmonica as your alternative. That is definitely like a nano organ. is the way we're going to rebrand that.
Couldn't
So,
carry the whole organ back there, bud, but we'll take the harmonicas.
And what about the Quakers? Were they the ones that first came out with the oats?
I think
I think
do
they're
oats
in
come
with
from
the
America? Do oats come from America? Where are oats from originally?
I think there was oats in Europe too.
Yeah.
The oats there, bud.
Yeah, they're from the Fertile Crescent.
But
so-
I personally believe there's enough evidence now that there was like inter-ocean cross-continent trade for pretty much ongoing for thousands of years there.
Between the
Like-
Quakers, for sure. I mean, look at those outfits,
Right?
man. Dutch ambassadors. Yeah, I mean, the fact that the idea of wearing Dutch clothing still, too, the period of Enlightenment. So that's kind of the opposite of the Amish. They're like, hey, we can do whatever we want. No one can tell us no. Because we were raised in a free society, and we chose to do this, and we're going to continue to choose to do this. And that's pretty cool, not forcibly converted.
Keeping their identity, their ideologies. They
Got
could pass as a rock band, though, or at least a boys band.
Let me go to some weird articles. I have.
Quakers.
At least the boys band.
Hunt for alien signatures, blah. U.S. Air Force unveils its new nuclear stealth bomber, the B-21. What do you guys think about the B-21?
It looks a lot like a spacecraft right there, kind of like a UFO.
Yeah, I kind of
it's
want to hear.
like aliens, and they're just trying to play it off like, no, that's just our new.
Just the new
thing.
B1, eh?
That's the
I'm
new B-21. We're scrapping it anyways. Don't even worry about it.
I'm curious to hear what Jeremy Reese has to say, alien scientist, about the B-21 because
Right, he hasn't done an episode yet. Jeremy, where are you? Come on, B-21.
I mean,
Does it have that electrogravitic like effects of it. Like the B1, obviously it's more advanced. Why do they keep going with this flying triangle shape?
I'm convinced that it does have the anti-gravity ionic lifting, but I also think Jeremy pointed out this idea that there are lasers at the front of these vehicles. Some of them have this, and he's found the patents showing this, that burn the air in front of the plane.
Plasma in front in the suction. Yeah, that crazy
plasma vacuum vortex. So it's pulled, the plane's pulled into the vacuum, pulling it right in front of itself, where normally you'd have anything in front of it ends up causing wind drag. So
yeah, right. It does
cause the problem is now amplifying its speed.
Right. You got it. It's crazy that plasma vortex in front.
I don't know what to say about
They say that's key also to the hypersonic technology.
I think that's what they had in Spaceballs.
Baseball's coming true, eh? As long as the space balls don't drop from the sky.
Lord Helmet over here.
I've also got scientists simulate a wormhole, send a message through it. Okay, so here's kind of the idea of if there were in a physics engine the opportunity to test for things like wormhole, how would we do it? Using quantum computers, researchers simulated a working baby wormhole without rupturing space-time. So if it works in a virtualization, maybe it could work in reality, I think is kind of the point. On the face of it, a wormhole might seem like a straightforward concept, but it's not. It's certainly an idea that's been around for a while, but from TV. And now it looks like they have some way of doing it. The idea of folding quantum entangled matter, right? I like the idea because it means that we don't have to travel through space anymore or even acknowledge it. We just get to be wherever we want simultaneously to being somewhere else simultaneously.
Oh, sorry. I'm just loving
Calm the desert.
There's some good ones.
McNeil. Have you found anything yet? Nothing yet, sir. What about you? We ain't found shit.
They send a message through a wormhole. Did they get an answer?
Flea's gonna be in the pop, or he's pitching himself to be in the next Popeye movie. I could see it. That could work. That'd be cool. Like if they did the soundtrack too, Red Hot Chili Peppers. John Frusciante though could play. I don't know.
Flea. So shout out to Flea. He's a nice He's a nice guy.
He seems like it.
All right.
Yeah, he's
He
a nice
seems like he'd be cool. If you survive Venice Beach that long, you've got to be pretty young.
Oh, buddy. Yeah.
It's a dangerous place. I don't know.
And what's wrong with eating spinach?
Right. Well, you know, originally Popeye ate onions, and then he switched to spinach.
He was an onion originally, and they're like, nah, he just can't be that layered. Give him spinach.
There was a thing originally, yeah, and then he had to switch it. I think there's also like a health reason, but then spinach isn't even that good for you, which is the other thing. Like
What?
it turns out to be.
Has it been like false advertising all this time?
Yeah, 1870, Von Wolf.
The spinach, the false prophets, not giving us the right minerals.
In 1870, German chemist Erich von Wolf correctly ascertained the amount of iron in spinach, but while transcribing his notes, he accidentally misplaced a decimal point, kind of like NASA. Instead of recording that spinach had 3.5 milligrams of iron per 100-gram serving, he wrote it had 35 grams. You know, over a third of the entire thing would have been iron. So yeah, that would have been nuts. This is a huge amount.
A lot of iron, yeah. Holy.
As Sam Arpson notes in his book, The Half-Life of Fact, Why Everything We Know Has an Expiration Date, if that calculation were actually correct, 100-gram serving would be like eating a small piece of a paperclip. But this was the fact that went out into the world, and it wasn't corrected until almost 70 years later in 1937. Spinach enjoyed a long tenure as the most vaunted of vegetables, which brings up Popeye. These huge health claims did not escape the nose of the studio that created Popeye, which is why they chose spinach as the superfood that gave Popeye his strength. In reality, spinach may not have been as powerful as they thought nutritionally, but it certainly had a powerful PR effect. According to Arbsman, Popeye helped increase American consumption of spinach by a third. So
It got them sales up.
I gotta imagine Bernays. When is this? When is Popeye? Popeye Sailor. When's
the HUD.
I can't. 1960? No.
Oh,
Popeye's
I'm watching Spaceballs tonight. That's it. Oh, man.
That's not a bad movie. 1929. Okay, so then when is Bernays? He would have been around at the right time, so it could have easily been I don't have any proof of this, but I couldn't be surprised if I found out that Bernays was behind the spinach thing.
I love Bill Pullman. That's gonna be good.
Yeah, so Spaceballs. What about it were you missing?
Just
Oh, so good. What was
she
I
is
missing?
a classic.
I just haven't seen it in a while, and it's like I've just I don't know.
It's like the Austin Powers of Star Wars.
I've been watching The Sinner with Bill Pullman, and I recently watched The Coldest War with Bill Pullman. Xertus, have you seen The Coldest War?
The Coldest War.
You might like that. It's like he plays like an old scientist that they recruit to play chess against the Soviets. I think it's called The Coldest
Sounds
War.
like my kind of movie, eh?
The Coldest War.
What year?
Oh, it's like 2021.
The Coldest Game.
Coldest Game. Sorry. Great movie. I thought it was pretty good. Because personally, Bill Pullman is finally getting his due as an actor. Like, if you haven't seen The Sinner, that show is off the hook. It's so good. And then this movie's pretty good. And
what's it about? The Coldest Game?
So The Coldest Game, Bill Pullman plays. It's actually really interesting because as the story, it starts off, he's just a scientist who's really smart, and he's known for being the only American chess player that's been able to beat the previous Russian champion. And because the American guy that was supposed to go in got killed, because of the rules of chess, Bill Pullman's the only other guy who's allowed to substitute, unless otherwise the U.S. has to forfeit. But then it turns out that he was the scientist who, what's his name, Oppenheimer or whoever invented the atom bomb. He came to him and asked him for help, and then he's talking about how, yeah, if it wasn't for me, like we wouldn't have the atom bomb, and like we could have avoided all this war. And he turns into a big drunk, but then that's why they recruit him for the chess match, and he needs the booze to be able to focus and play. So it's got a bit of a comedic pitch, but it's I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool because like these days everything is just a remake of a remake. Like they're remaking everything these days. So it was nice to see something original.
The more I know about chess, the more that's a believable story, you know?
Yeah.
Did you watch
it's not a true story, but it's cool. But I mean,
you know about the Hans Niemann thing, right? Hans Niemann in chess right now with the butt plug?
Sure.
Yeah.
And what else was I going to say? Another good one is the one with Tobey Maguire and I forget his name, but the Bobby Fischer.
Oh yeah, I love that movie, The Search for Bobby Fischer.
Liev
Schreiber?
Yeah.
How about
On Sacrifice? That's a good one.
How about The Death of Cattle? Not the movie, the home game. What do you guys think about this is
always fascinated.
Yeah, I was told that this was supposed to stop. They said after 2012 there was going to be alien treaties. I was told there were going to be alien treaties to stop this. What's going on, man? I mean,
Did we release a new type of chimera? What is going on? How they're dying?
A year ago this happened a bunch, then a couple months ago it happened more. Now it's happened again. This one is mystery surrounding the spate of unexplained cattle deaths. That's right, deaths. 18 reported of its cattle seemingly dropped, dead for no apparent reason. 40 others here or there. I mean, you always hear this and people are like, whatever, dead cattle. But I mean, have you seen
we do eat cows every day.
We do, but when aliens do it, they do it weird, man. Actually, I guess it's...
As long as it's done humanely, that doesn't look humane. That is not halal. I'm sorry.
Halal is
investigated.
Halal is way worse. I don't know how else to explain this to you. Humans are way more disgusting, and what we do to animals are way more gross. And I'm not saying that as a Californian. I guess I am, but I just mean if you think about it, halal is literally to make an animal bleed to death and drown in its own blood, basically upside down. I mean, you're not supposed to do it upside down, but they do it anyway.
Right. Yeah.
It happens a lot. I lost my article though. Darn it. Cattle, UFO cattle mutilation. Let's just do it.
I thought it was supposed to be done respectfully.
See, that's what I'm getting at. Here's my point. Right? So humans going around cutting off a foot of
down, man, and what's up is down.
Humans go around cutting off the backside of a pig or a buffalo to eat part of it, and then they leave the rest of it. They kill off all the buffalo, and all of a sudden some UFOs come down here and very cleanly mutilate a cow, leaving no blood, and we're all like, hey, because they're basically taking part of the animal and leaving the other part behind.
Out, but
it seems like we're upset for the same. We're kind of being hypocritical here. That's exactly what we did.
Classic humanity.
I don't know. Maybe that's the wrong hot take to take, but it is interesting. Who's cutting just a specific? These are all surgeon cuts.
Weird. That's
pretty surgeon
weird
cut
stuff. That's some weird.
Yeah. I guess we're looking too much at that. I don't want to see too much more of it, but look at the pictures of that. Ugh. Someone showed me a picture recently of
Chupacabra.
What was it? The adrenochrome painting. Oh
God! Why? What is this?
1987.
That doesn't seem too bad.
Is it Lars Erik Falk? Maybe it's Lars Erik Falk. Lars Erik Falk? I forget. Someone just showed me these paintings the other day. Basically, I can't find it right now, but if you watch the Synchronous episode from the other day, it's a person standing in front of a bunch of dots that are these colors, and it's called adrenochrome. And so it's interesting looking at this because you have this idea of humanity being maybe more of a singularity. There's parts of humanity and it's a political body and the environment that it lives in, right? Because there's that map of wolves borders. You saw that, right? Tweet. What do I have to do to find this? I don't know. There's a picture where they were showing artificial borders. Oh, I don't need the word tweet in there.
And just Trump talking about the virus.
Yeah,
Trump
good for him, though.
Look for wolves.
I don't know if I'm going to find it, but there was a thing where they showed how wolves are actually like they stay in their own areas, like the GPS map. Wolf GPS map. Basically, they all. There you go. So they're all bordering each other, and they're staying in their own tribes. Their own. What do you call a wolf pack? Yeah, there's a pack. Their packs are there, and they don't interact with their pack over there. They don't. And they come right up to each other's borders. And it's interesting because we have these arbitrary borders, but so does nature. And so you look at that picture, of the cattle mutilation and the idea that they're literally, where's that map at again? I lost my map. Doesn't really matter. A lot of scary stuff. But that the idea that they're getting a census from a bunch of different areas, and the different kinds of cattle from different areas, they're representing different conditions. And we now know that humans have large amounts of cow DNA from consuming cow for so long. I don't know. Do you think there's anything real about it? Like, what do you think is the other alternative, right? Do you think that is it possible that there's some crazy, like, college students that are practicing surgeries on cows in the Midwest? Is that the other? What else is going on? Come up with a story, like, please.
I don't know, man. That's I don't know. Like, that could just be like just something that the CIA does just to keep the world turning. Like, oh, we got to go slaughter the cows so that people think something's going on.
New Mexico cop says military responsible for cattle mutilation. Gabe Valdez was a former New Mexico State Patrol officer in Dulce, New Mexico area during his tenure. Beginning in the 1970s, he began investigating mysterious cattle mutilations, and he investigated himself. First publicized 1967, 100 miles northeast of Dulce. Said UFOs seen in the area were actually advanced military crafts. Maybe that they got
this theory. Sounds like some ultimate MK action.
Is this just to terrify people because their cows are going missing? Like, why would the military do this? Like, are they doing it to learn? Like, what is going on? Are they doing it to learn or to teach a lesson?
Because the reptilians are in control and that they go alongside with them. It's the only answer.
In a nutshell, Benevitz owned a technology company outside the gates of Kirkland Air Force Base in Albuquerque. I've been there. I've been to that base. In 1980, he reported that the USAF was filming strange lights over the base and tuning in signals. It is a weird place. And there's there's a cave in the side of a mountain that has a dust vaporous 3D projection, so that when planes fly into it, it looks like they're flying into a mountain. And there's a lot of crazy stuff that's going on in New Mexico.
Yeah, somebody's got to be harvesting something out of it,
right? He might be ET nature. Instead of informing Benevitz that he was observing secret military projects, Air Force Intelligence Officer Richard Doty was allegedly assigned to encourage Benevitz's ET beliefs and perpetuate them with fabricated evidence. I've heard this story. You know this story, right? This has been a big thing. A number of guys who were using ham radios accidentally tapped into some stuff, and they were picking up encrypted signals. And they're like, well, this is clearly alien communications because it's not analog sound. It's like some sort of digital tone.
How soon was this?
This is like 67 and 80, but this is 1980 that Benevitz was, they started terrifying the guy. And there's a number of these guys who were drugged and, put in mental institutions, and later on found out it was all to protect. Because what happens if the CIA has, let's say some company that the government's working for, DOD, has some sort of technology, and it's in New Mexico, and some guy picks it up, but he doesn't know it. He's like, oh, aliens. So the newspapers run aliens in New Mexico. So now Russia's looking for aliens in New Mexico. Communists are looking for aliens in New Mexico. They're not looking for aliens. They're looking for technology in New Mexico that might have been misunderstood, and they know that. And so that's the tip off. So you have to discredit and try to point other directions as much as possible during the Cold War so that the Soviets don't know New Mexico is where this company is, as opposed to Qualcomm in San Diego or whatever.
I get you. A little bit of Cold War espionage going on.
Cattle
Is that
mutilation.
what it's all about?
But yeah, it just seems really strange because the cattle mutilation. That to me seems weirder than just a stunt. I mean, maybe because, you know, if you've seen Mission Impossible and the amount of cocaine they're doing and the theater schools that they went to, I can get it. But to me, it seems more likely that there's like something more, right? Like, why would you want to put your hand into a cow?
Right?
What is it?
You don't know. It's like
I know. Maybe it's because like the CIA agent grew up in
Butcher's gone
Nebraska.
mad.
If he's from Nebraska and he became a CIA agent, but otherwise, I'm just telling you, like, it's kind of weird, and it's more likely that they're trying to investigate medical scientifically, and it's maybe not the cow itself. It might be the environment the cow's in, or the herd and the the kinds of people that are eating it.
Good possibility right there.
These are my thoughts. I don't know. Anybody?
That's
I feel like I would.
That looked
That's
like a
too controversial
meme.
for me.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it was like, oh, look at all these wolves. Yeah.
So it's not a meme. It became a meme because we snapped it on APM, but it's literally just a tweet.
Ray!
Tweets are the new meme, bro. I just go post a tweet.
What about all the tweets about like the bout and like the best NBA women's trade ever?
The Russia thing?
Yeah.
Russia,
And
NBA. You're gonna have to help me out. WNBA. I don't really
Shout
understand.
out to Victor Boot and the whole line of Ukraine in Lord of War.
What's that great movie? The Russian prison boxing movie.
I was thinking more Lord of War with Nicolas Cage about the Victor
I was
bout.
thinking Animal with Vin Rhymes.
Okay, so Undisputed 2 is a masterpiece.
Or Undisputed, yeah, with Vin Rhymes and
No. Undisputed 2.
Oh, 2, okay. Because the
Undisputed
first one
2.
had Wesley
Hardy
Snipes.
ball! Hardy ball! What's up?
Haribo.
Guys, everybody, this is my friend Sabri. Sabri, you're my brother.
What it do? West Side Malibu, dog. Chillin'.
West Side Malibu, brother!
I like that. I love that. Let me pull off the.
Shop, man.
I can't believe the hat. That's a pretty great hat. We're talking.
Thank you. It's actually Govinda's hat. Govinda's trying to challenge
awesome.
you. He's saying that white people didn't invent Hinduism and what else? Tartarians or what?
They're not Aryans.
Well, wait, hold on. White people. Hold on.
Tartarians
That's not
are
even.
gay, man.
There's nothing, it has nothing to do with. I love how you come
Tartarians
15
are
minutes.
bitches.
I love you come 15 minutes before the end of the show, but it's not about any particular race or color, right? Like there's a lot of different kinds of people that are part. What are you overdoing? I can't even see where are you over there? It's crazy.
We're in a pretty loud environment, so I'm just holding the speaker to my ear.
Word. Yeah, no, I mean, okay, so I think you're coming from. He's coming from a.
Because she's got like
Oh, it's a very beautiful puppy.
we're like in this co-op living space.
I know you're coming from a very Tamil perspective, Tamil-centric perspective, maybe. I mean, I want to hear you out though. What are you trying to say about Tartaria and the? You don't think that because Sanskrit across? What do you think's going on with the language of Sanskrit?
Sick.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Govinda's the one that needs to be answering. Here's a quiet room over here.
Yeah. Well, we could also do that another time. We don't have to go into Tartaria now because it's like the last 15 minutes. But it's a if you're gonna you just shoot off your mouth. Tell me what you're talking about. I want to hear it.
How about the bout versus Garland, the trade of the day?
The trade
right.
of the days.
The Russian for the American basketball player.
Oh yeah. No, that's crazy.
What happened with that?
Yeah. What is the trade? I don't even know because I don't follow sports nearly as much.
They
So
traded an arms dealer for Brittany Griner.
Well, I mean that sucks for us, but good for
Still
them.
leaving an American military person in jail in Russia too.
Yeah, didn't she get locked up for having like a gram of weed on her or something? I don't know too much about.
She had a vape pen.
Vape cartridges,
Yep,
two
this is
marijuana
right here.
vape cartridges
This
at
is
the
at North.
airport.
With the type of
Yeah.
weed grinder, bro.
Are you guys on Twitch?
I do have a Twitch, but this is on YouTube. This is on Exertus on YouTube.
Usually I do stream on Twitch too with the multi-streams. We'll be multi-streaming on Twitch with everything soon.
Hell yeah,
We
bro.
definitely have a lot to talk about. Our group here, we're not in the best state of mind at the moment, but you know, we definitely want to circle back and touch base with you, Andreas. And
I'm glad you made the introduction, guys. You should definitely expect to see some Tamil studies, and we're gonna get deep on Hinduism. I'm gonna get my buddy Noel, who's like
That's
you've
awesome.
seen Noel on the channel before, who's doing Vedic studies and speaks Sanskrit as well. And we're gonna go super hard, and it'll be challenging, and that'll be based. But also, we'll talk about music and everything else in between. And I'm glad you showed up, dude. Govinda, I love you, and also Sabri. And what's your buddy's name there?
I'm Keenan.
What's up, Keenan? Good to meet you. I'm Andreas. What's up?
Good to meet you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, bro.
Crazy.
Dude,
How many viewers are in the thing?
It's like 100.
166 total right
hey,
now. We're
shout out
multi-streaming
to
on a couple channels.
everyone watching, man. Y'all
Right?
are lit. Yes, sir. We're gonna come back talking about some Aryan Dravidian politics. South.
But he means
Asia.
that like from an Indian perspective, like actually Indo
More
area.
studies, right? Because
Actual
what I'm
Indian,
really
you know?
interested is some of the golden tablets that have been found throughout the Americas that seem like they have ancient Sanskrit on them and stuff like that. And if you can like read them and verify or disprove or whatnot, stuff like that.
Right, and phoneme, all the linguistic connections, all the phonemes beyond the script, because script has been changed 3 or 4 times, and you've got like new
Absolutely.
Sanskrit. But
You
then,
know,
you know what's way more interesting is Tamil, and your mom. We got to get your mom to talk about Tamil and the connections to Finnish and Ugaric languages too.
Absolutely, you know, and Tamil is like the Greek of South Asia, really, because you know it's the oldest language that's still in use and has been barely changed over time, and it really tests time for sure. And
Dude,
it's
Tamil's
crazy
the
how
unsung hero for sure of language. Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of
it's
talk about
intricate.
how like Tamil is not intelligible with Sanskrit, but you know that's not entirely true. But we could go more into that for sure. But you know, just the whole like connection with all of the Indo-European languages and Sanskrit. Avestan is definitely something to look at as well, which is the language of the Zoroastrian people, which is what all of their scripture was written in, and it's very similar to Sanskrit. A lot of shared words, but you know, it's one way to definitely track, you know, the early Indo-European linguistic migrations. You know, the first piece of Sanskrit that was found, technically based on like carbon dating, was a horse training guide in Syria, and it was in Sanskrit. And there was the Mitanni Empire in Syria. This was probably in about 2000 BC, I want to say roughly. And they all had Sanskrit Hindu names. And there's a lot of, there's like this narrative that like India and, you know, the Hindu kings never really like conquered, and they were sort of like a peaceful people, which is not true, you know, like just based on human nature, people are not like that, you know. And it's really interesting looking at the Mitanni kingdom, and you know, that's like a great example of early Indian expansionism, as well as you know, just looking at Indo-European expansionism as well. So we got a lot to talk about.
That's based. I'm stoked. Yes, this is what we're
Oh,
gonna get
yeah.
into. It's gonna be great. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to get into, like in terms of Tamil astrology as well, and astronomy and physics and history and like the entire universe. But dude, thank you for dropping by. This is Govinda, Haribol, and then is Sabri. Sabri there.
He is in the next room. Let me go to him real quick.
I just give him a quick much love and prayer.
Absolutely.
Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yono Prachodayat.
Nice.
Bruh. Dude, Haribol, Sabri. We're gonna do this again in a couple days. Let's get back on this.
Man, I'm finally getting my bearings back, and we'll be able to be more present. Thanks.
Bring your sitar, bro. It'll be amazing.
Yeah, man, I got a whole story behind that I want to share. But yeah, basically, long story short, I'm gonna get an electric sitar right now, and my other sitar is in my weed farm, which I'm not going back to. So whatever.
Friggin' Brahmin cowboy. All right, I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right,
Hare
love you, bro.
Bro.
Much love to you guys.
I love Sabri. Dude, so he made some music with Ravi Shankar when he was like 19, and he was in a commercial that I saw as a kid for Gundam. So I always wanted this Gundam. Is it here somewhere?
Like Gundam Wing?
I have it somewhere here. I have a Gundam action figure, super mecha amazing. And I always wanted it, and I finally got it, and I was like showing it to him. And because we've been friends for years, like since like teenagers, but not since then. And he's like, dude, I have a story about that Gundam. Hold on if I can find it because it's so funny. Like I was actually, because he's from Hollywood and he's in commercials and stuff like that as a kid. So he's like, I was actually in a Gundam commercial when I was a kid. And I was like, no, really? And he's like, shows me the commercial. And I'm watching the commercial through, and he's like, wait for it. And I didn't even get it, even though he'd said it, like it didn't resonate with me. And then here he is. And he's like, Gundam, making level 1 Gundam. And then like as I watch, like, dude, wait, is that your dad too? Like his dad's with him in the back, making sure he's safe. I'm like, oh my God, you're the reason why. You're not even seeing it, are you?
Oh, there
There we go. Now we can see what you're talking about.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
All the more epic.
I'm watching this commercial.
Shit, I remember those.
Yes, that's how I felt. And then all of a sudden he's like, wait, that's you? I'm like, wait, yeah, that's Sabri. That's the dude you just the dude you just saw just now, who's like, I'll never go back to my farm.
Mad respect.
I was never into that stuff, but I remember that commercial, dude. That is crazy.
Neither was he. So I was like, so yeah, like that's why I got a gun. He was like, yeah, I never had one. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Like, well,
they gave me one, but I hated it.
I was like, well, no. It was even worse. Like,
had one.
He's like, I wasn't allowed. So like they offered, of course, for us to have one. My parents were against violent toys because they're Krishna conscious Brahmin.
Yeah, he could be in the commercial. He could be in the commercial for it because it brings in.
Actually, my parents were against violent toys. I wasn't allowed to have a lot of the military toys that I always wanted. Always wanted that tank or like that attack toy. My parents were like, no. We are Russian Duka Boars. The Duka Boars are peaceful people. Can't have violent toys.
Interesting. What kind of toys did they let you have then?
Nowadays I've got everything.
Oh, when you were a kid, like what did they want you to play with then?
Only like the nice Lego, like the undersea Lego, and like
dude, when I was a kid, there'd always lesbian moms who would like give kids action figures instead of guns, and they'd just like bend them over and like aim them at people. That was the way it was. You couldn't stop a boy, you can't stop a boy from playing, and God help you if you stop a girl. I mean, they're so Brittany's daughter does this thing where she got all these Barbie houses and has a little community, and she got a helicopter. Well, I got her a helicopter to go with the one she already had. She got a wheelchair. One of her Barbies is in a wheelchair. And so she'll have these like Barbie games, but it'll be like there's a helicopter accident, and then the girls can't dance anymore. And it's like Hallmark movies, like just horrifying. Like, and then she's like trying to learn to walk again, and they're just going through therapy, and she's like, the kid's crying, and like it's just like, oh my God, the gestalt. I think, long story short, little girls' imaginations are way more dangerous than boys' toys. I think.
I agree.
My God, is there anything you guys want to make sure that we cover before we start pulling up where they can get more of your beautiful, amazing, sweet, precious, unique content?
I'm good to go. I was just gonna say I gotta start bouncing, so now is a perfect time for me if you guys are good to call her.
Yeah, do a 2-hour thing. Let me pull up your pages.
I got you quickly mention that we were supposed to do the Hutchinson crystal battery tomorrow night, but we might have to delay it because I can't get a hold of Jeremiah and a couple people, but it might be on Sunday instead.
Okay.
I'll see how tomorrow goes. It might still happen tomorrow. We'll see.
Let me know, Bernie.
But APEC is on Saturday.
Jordan, you're welcome. I'm pretty sure. I mean, as long as that's okay with them, I'm definitely happy to have Jordan. Yeah, if you guys are check with everybody. I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak for everybody. I think so.
Jordan and Kurt, amazing individuals.
Yeah, Jordan's amazing. They're all good people. It should be fun. It would also be a great extra stream. We could stream it to your channel if you want. I could help you set that up. I think we can stream 10 things at once, so might as well. Guys, go to Crypto Alchemist 369 and make sure you also go to Burn Eye Science, which is here, right? Very similar logo. It just doesn't have a maple leaf. Where's the live?
I gotta add in that maple leaf.
It's The live thing.
That's right. You're watching, Sarah. You got to add in that flaming maple leaf.
Dude, the maple leaf is like, where's my, hold on. How do I, is there a way I can just show just the, how do I remove this? And then is there just, that felt good. I just like that maple leaf. I don't know. That's how I felt.
I like
All right.
it. I think it's epic.
American Time Machine, some of the best music in the world ever. Remember when Joe Biden defecated himself? It's not the name of the song, but it's very similar. Tulsi Gabbard is hot. Human. Analyze this cream pie. La creme. I'm gonna come up with like new like
rises to the top.
well, people, these are the things. 40,000 people listen to Human, so let that be a lesson to you that 2,000 anal cream pie versus 40,000 Human. This is more relatable. Is the lesson? That's what they're trying to tell you. But I do love American.
Kurt, we gotta have you on the next Science of Sound episode as well.
Yeah,
and Jordan.
That'd be
bring
cool.
the Canadian, eh?
Right?
Yeah, man, I'd love to. And I expect emails from me, all you guys, because I got a bunch of episodes planned. So expect some emails. Just put out my check me out, please.
Emails planned to get on his very special divulgence.
Subscribe on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey. Please give me a 5-star review if you can on Spotify, Apple. Anything you can do helps. I got some great stuff in the works. We're supposed to meet with Mark Devlin yesterday, but some stuff came up, so we got him coming. Me and Kurt did a great episode yesterday. The other day? I'm losing time, but I got a lot of other good stuff planned. So just I know it's a small show, but just if you give me the chance, I will build it, and I promise to deliver. So I appreciate.
I promise I'll show up if you invite me.
All right, I appreciate it, Bernie. Yeah, no, I have some different topics planned and a whole bunch of different lists of different people that I want to get you guys coming in with Ryan to talk about the Canadian trucker convoy and the subsequent hearing. I have a whole list of stuff, so just keep tuned, and I'm just gonna keep pumping them out.
I'll give my Alberta opinion, eh?
There we go. So I'm a small show still, but I'm gonna build it nice and big, just like Popeye. Mwah, mwah.
It's pretty good stuff, though. He has some pretty great episodes with some amazing interviews with some interesting people. I highly recommend watching them. There's a reason why you're here, sir. You're definitely doing the due diligence.
I appreciate everything we do every Thursday. It's always a good time, guys. Man, I appreciate everyone in the chat. There's always good comments, good ideas.
And everybody watch. I know there's less people now, but watch Undisputed too, because it's better than the first one. He goes to Russia. And it's
okay. I'm gonna hold you to that. I'm gonna hold you to that, dude. Because the first
it's pretty gnarly.
Off the hook.
Well, okay. Well,
right.
It's very Russian. You got to see. It's your whole thing.
Divergence. You got to post your link in the live chat, eh? People are asking.
Divulgence podcast.
Certus, you gotta be posting in the live chat.
Oh, all right. I'll do it right now, and then I'll also put it in the description. Remind me to put it in the description because I always forget right afterwards. Good job. Oh, that was me and you. There we go. And then yes, go to tartarynova.com. Make sure you go to tartarynova.com and join the Tartar Discord, and then you can ask questions. We're gonna start actually doing some more of these fun live call-in segments where people can call in and say something, and then we'll comment and talk about that for a subject. Buy some t-shirts, buy some sweatshirts.
Yeah, buy the new merch, man. That new thing, that new one. Pull up the new one, man.
Support the cause and look good, eh?
Dude, I mean, it's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet shirt. Gotta admit, MK Canada. It's a sweatshirt I'm wearing now.
I'm getting one of those ones. I promise you that, because that one is my favorite.
And Gay Mafia, it's gonna be big. All right, guys, take care.
All right,
have
guys.
a wonderful, wonderful.
Boys.
Yes, follow your dreams, everyone. Peace.
I will. I'm going.
Canada is a country. Waves of people came to this country, were welcomed by the folks who have lived here for millennia, the First Nation. And waves of people fleeing religious persecution, fleeing tyranny, fleeing to try and build a better life for themselves here than they had back home. Whether it's folks fleeing from world wars or fleeing from civil wars, these people always want the same thing: to be able to live in peace, to raise their families, create a better future for themselves and their communities. And that is what generations created, this extraordinary diverse society we have. Now, Canada remains one of the only countries in the world where citizens are, by and large, positively inclined. And one of the reasons we are that way is because Canadians have confidence in our future.